wasn't it children?
This should work.
Children? No.
What?
There we go.
Oh, he was also talking about killing children.
Yeah, forking the children is something.
You're just using
Ain't killing them, forking them, killing
There's
them.
no like
See, this is some good shit.
bullshit floating in the air. It's just Debian. It's so beautiful. It's so perfect. Debian would never do something like
That's
that.
like one of the few.
Yes, it would, bro. That's the window manager's fault. So if I was using this, I probably should.
Out of the wild.
Get DW out of
pocket stuff.
Hell no.
Just to bait people into paying attention.
It's all being sick less or something.
Okay.
The way I know that is because he posts on detail. He's like, attention.
Wait, I gotta add one more slide. You guys will get to see.
No justification.
You'll get to see this in real time.
Honestly, if it works, it works.
Who's next?
There's no plausible deniability here. It's clear.
There we go. I pretend I didn't just write this in front of everyone right now.
Where is 6-7? Why are you doing that?
Ooh, 6-7. Alright everyone, welcome to the intro to hardware hacking. So today we'll talk a little bit about like why we'd want to do hardware hacking, some of the interfaces we might use for it, some of the tools, and then next week, very important, we will have a lab where we will get to take these little Arduinos, they're going to talk to each other, and you're going to use these logic analyzers to sniff the transmission and do something I haven't decided yet. But so make sure you're there for that. Tell your friends about it. It's a lot of fun. It's not often that we get to work with actual hardware at Computer Club for some reason. I keep telling Malachi to buy hardware and he never does. Never does, but that's okay. Lots of our great faculty have hardware available. That's where I got all the stuff on the table today. But first, an announcement. The link for Hive CTF is up on Meta CTF. We have a look here, and we can hit this link. Wow, look at that. Great. That's peak. So if you want to help make challenges, let me know. If you want to participate, you can head on over there. Do what you want. But yeah, the link is currently that. We'll probably change it because of DSU marketing rules. We'll probably get rid of the word DSU in the title, but for now it's okay. It's fine. Next up. What is this your slide?
This is my slide.
Why'd you take your name off it?
Because no one else had their name on it. So I was like,
Well, because I wrote all the other slides. Unless Jacob added some, I don't know.
Yeah, he did. He added
yes.
your slides.
Surprise, I don't know.
Happy birthday. I'm Jacob. Alright, go ahead. I know you're rusty, but come on.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, hardware hacking involves manipulating and modifying physical hardware to exploit vulnerabilities and making hardware do something that it was not intended to do. It is more expensive to patch hardware vulnerabilities compared to software, since you'll need to essentially swap them out in most cases. Whereas for software, you could just fix the code or patch or update the software to essentially to patch them. But yeah, hardware hacking also a lot of times requires access to the physical hardware itself, unlike software where you just need the code and you don't essentially need access to the physical hardware. You could just remotely access the code of the system or the software or how it works. That's how hardware and software differ. But yeah, that's hardware hacking.
Alright, so you might be wondering, why should we bother with hardware hacking? DSU has a very big focus on software. You know, you take software reverse engineering class, you take a software exploitation class if you take your master's, etc., etc. We don't deal with hardware a lot beyond CSC 163. Well, hardware hacking is very fun, first of all. I know that's the last point, but it's kind of the biggest point for me. It's very fun. It's very cool. You get to play around. There's something nice about having something physical in your hands as you're working. But a lot of hardware interfaces are not authenticated in any way, so you can kind of just get in there and do whatever you want. You know, like Dick just said, it kind of assumes physical access to the hardware, so it's maybe not super practical for something like a penetration test, but for exploitation and just for fun, you know, you can buy yourself some hardware and do some hacking. One thing that hardware hacking allows you to do is bypass a lot of software and firmware protections, because, you know, obviously obviously you're interacting with the hardware directly instead of going through a software interface. So, it doesn't really matter, what, it depends what you're looking for. Obviously, software level encryption is still going to be an obstacle, but, it doesn't really matter if you're not root on the device, if you can just bypass the OS entirely and flash a new image, whatever. One thing that's cool is you often get physical results. If there's any moving parts on your device, you can see it happen. Otherwise, you can, make I remember on the Wikipedia page there's an example where someone hacked like a little chip on a device and made words appear on an LCD. Maybe you can get it calculator hacking. That sounds fun. Hardware hacking has applications in Internet of Things, industrial control systems, and embedded devices. These are often devices that are overlooked. Especially ICS is very behind on security standards. So if you can get physical access or, some interface for physical access, you can do a lot of damage to something like that. And then, as I mentioned, it's very fun. So
The different types of hardware hacking methods are fault injections. So fault injections are when you intentionally stress out hardware components more than what they're supposed to do, and essentially you end up leaking or make it do what it's not supposed to do. Two methods that I personally know about is one of them is CPU overloading, where you intentionally make a CPU push it to do what it's not. Okay, how I am.
You got this.
Anyways, yeah. So for CPU overloading, I think I'm forgetting what I need to say. Skip CPU overloading. I'll go to once I remember, I'll talk about voltage glitching. So voltage glitching is one where, and one example is when you take a microcontroller and when it's working at specific moments, you lessen the amount of voltage it's supposed to take on, or you increase the amount of voltage it's supposed to take on, and essentially that makes it spill data that it's supposed to not leak. And that's essentially fault injection. So there are like different types of fault injection methods where you stress out what they're supposed to do, and that makes it spill data that it's not supposed to. Another one is side channel attacks. Side channel attacks are essentially where the device gives physical output, like unexpected output. For example, like CPUs give out electromagnetic transmissions, and you essentially listen on to them and reconstruct what it's trying to do. Though this is more complex and it needs more deep technical expertise to do it. And then the third one is physical interfaces, UART or JTAG, where you need physical access to like receive and transmit pins, and you essentially gain control of the hardware. These are only three that I personally research about, but there are more than that as well.
Yeah. Another thing voltage glitching can do is you can get the CPU to skip instructions. Yeah. So if you're running some kind of code that has like a check, if this is true, go on, otherwise bar access. If you can cause it to skip the comparison instruction, you can basically gain access to a part of the code that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. We'll be talking mostly about physical interfaces just because, truthfully, fault injection is extremely hard to do effectively. I know for the MITRE embedded CTF, some of our members did a little research into that, and there was only one team out of 100 last year that was able to effectively do voltage glitching, and it was the top team, CMU. But it's really, really hard. You have to have a lot of skills, and you have to have the right hardware to do it. But physical interfaces are easy. You just need some like little wires and debuggers and shit. Anyway,
Yeah, and then replay attacks are when you record a certain.
You copy pasted this from somewhere.
Yeah, I did.
Embarrassing.
I did change it because it essentially, before I copy pasted, it said intercepts and transmits. It did not say record state as well. So I had to change it. I mean, that's the way
anyway,
paste it.
Go.
Replay attacks are when you intercept a way software is working and record it, and then change that what you had recorded to essentially make it do what you want it to do. Flipper zeros do that with RFID and NFCs. If any of you have taken hardware by Rob, he makes you do a replay attack in one of the labs for car hacking. That's essentially what a replay attack is, but it involves hardware hacking.
Yeah. Like, for example, you could capture some kind of authentication message and then edit it to, authenticate for some different action, and then basically resend it with the same authentication data and gain access to something you otherwise wouldn't.
That would be a question.
Yes, Jacob.
Does anyone here what the heck was that? Does anyone here know of ways that you can prevent replay attacks? Like, all the crypto enthusiasts in here, how would you prevent a replay attack?
I'd give you a Jolly Rancher, but I lost the bag, so. You got something ready?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Just rolling codes, right?
Yeah.
I've never heard that term.
Well, it's what like car keys use, rolling codes.
Like a not
So sorry.
a random number that's used one time.
Yeah, 1 second.
That cycles per request, you mean?
Well, it's like the car key has like a certain like list of like whatever. So
Yeah.
if ever like
Someone in the Discord that's trying to speak.
Yeah, well, I'm saying let the people in person finish, and then we'll let the person online ask their question. So go ahead, really.
but like let's say you were to unlock your car, it's that one-time thing. So like the car and the key have like the same list,
Mm-hmm.
and then like whenever you send that over, if someone were to like get it and try to replay it, it's already used that like value, so you can't just replay it.
It's similar to a knots. That's probably what you're thinking of, Jacob.
That's
He was asking the opposite question.
Yes, anyway, hold on. Who do we have online? Jeff Smith. Would you like to go ahead?
No, I was just going to, obviously it's probably a simple question for everybody else, but these attacks, you're talking about, these are written in low-level language, correct?
Typically.
Like extremely, like machine assembly or whatever.
Probably assembly or C most of the time.
I'm sorry?
I said probably C or assembly most of the time, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Because I'm personally, I'm just starting, and I kind of want to get into, like that fun virus creation.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ones where the screen melts, or there's like dancing cats or whatever, things like that. I kind of want to do that for a little project for myself.
Oh, yeah.
And C is what I'm learning right now.
Yeah. Well, C is really good because you often have like driver libraries that interact, very directly with the hardware. But
I also read up more on CPU overload, coming back to because I forgot.
live research from Diksha right now.
It's essentially pushing the CPU to its maximum limit, so sometimes the CPU would slow down or it freezes. And I think if you push it to a certain point, it essentially leaks the data that it's working with. That's one of the attacks that CPU overloading does, but that's what I was trying to say, and I forgot.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright, what's next? Okay, I guess I'll talk about UART. UART is one of the common hardware interfaces. It's asynchronous serial. It's very common on microcontroller boards. So these are consumer grade. These are Arduino compatible boards. I just realized that there are two different brands too, but they're essentially the same board. So these have UART headers in the GPIO pins. Raspberry Pis typically have them too, but also real embedded devices often have UART interfaces, UART headers. Sometimes what will happen is you'll have the UART headers present on the board, but there won't actually be any pins connected to them. So what you can do is buy some pins and solder them onto the headers. So for a networking device like Dean has, that's pretty typical. You'll have a UART header but no pins, so you have to solder on the pins yourself. But soldering is fun. So UART commonly comes in 4 or 8 pin configurations. I think I've seen 4 pin more often, but you can also see 8 pin as well. The typical 4 pins are ground, power, transmit, receive is typically what it is. Anyway, but we'll be working with UART next week because that's what these boards interact with, and we'll be using these logic analyzers to sniff that UART data. It's unencrypted, unauthenticated. You know, if you have hardware access, you can read anything that goes across it.
But in real world cases, you probably wouldn't have unencrypted communication when you're trying to do hardware hacking.
Well, for these interfaces, you would.
Yeah.
Anyway, is this your slide? Is this Jacob's slide?
Oh yeah, I put that in.
Yes, Jacob.
I kind of mentioned it already,
Yeah.
though, but yeah, I made this 20 minutes ago. If I'm being
Yes,
honest.
Jacob.
Based on my current knowledge, UART seems to be a protocol that hardware boards can use to communicate between each other. And the way it works is it sends over bits one at a time. So I think it forms frames based on what I looked at. But yeah, it just sends a bit over the wire one at a time, obviously extremely fast. But basically the two devices will agree beforehand on like a timing scheme.
Yes.
So how many bits per X unit of time they're going to send. And I guess this might be used for debugging in some way.
Yes.
Okay, I guess one of them can talk more on that
Yeah.
because they know that more than me. But
Yeah, well, UART was originally designed, I think, did I put this in there somewhere? I don't know. It was originally designed as a debug interface, so like if you have like a PCB and you don't necessarily have like operating system tools to do debugging, you could use UART as a low-level interface for those debugging purposes, but the problem is...
It can be also used for testing and repairs as well.
Yeah, that's the same thing. But it, you know, like I said, it's unauthenticated, unencrypted, it's very easy to listen in, so, yeah. Thanks.
that was my next slide. I added wiretapping, everyone's favorite word. I guess I decided just now. It sounds cool.
We trust you, Jacob.
So yeah, if you know like the timing scheme, right? Since as Leo mentioned, it might be unencrypted. If you know the timing scheme, you can just tap into the wire. I believe you can use a logic analyzer for this.
Yes, that's what we're doing next week, Jacob.
Okay, looks like
There you go.
I was correct in my assumption. Yeah, so if you tap in the wire with something like that, you can basically read the communications between the two devices. And then with the correct timing scheme, you'll be able to load that data into some kind of software and you'll be able to demodulate it and see what it is. And since it's just one bit at a time, obviously the demodulation isn't very difficult because it's just bits. And there's a common timing scheme. So yeah, it's definitely vulnerable to wiretaps. I guess that's what we're doing.
Yes.
That sounds cool. I haven't done that before either. So
Yeah.
I'll
Sorry if I didn't explain it very well, Jacob, but yes. We have these logic analyzers. They pair with a software that we'll have people download on their laptops, but yeah, basically this will translate the bits into readable bytes, and then we will be able to see the data that's being passed back and forth with those. Alright, next is JTAG, which stands for I think it's Joint Test Action Group, I want to say. Doesn't really matter, but JTAG is another low-level interface that can use either 2 pins, 4 pins, or 5 pins. In the 2-pin configuration, it's basically, I think, data and timing are the 2 pins, like clock. 4 pins, you will have a data in, a data out, a data clock, and then I forget what TCK stands for. And then 5-pin configuration adds a reset pin. Anyway, but the reset pin is optional. Typically, you'll see 2 or 4 pins. The idea behind JTAG is it was originally designed for testing and verifying PCB designs. So again, it's very low level. Honestly, it's very similar to UART in its purpose. Like the actual protocol is a bit different, but most things that can read UART can also read JTAG. So like these logic analyzers can do JTAG as well. And this other device I'll talk about later can do it as well. But yeah, one thing it does is it provides a channel for transferring data to flash. So if you actually want to write data to the board, you can use JTAG. Another thing is, like in this image here, we can actually daisy chain JTAG devices together by mapping the output of one to the input of another, and you can kind of control them all at the same time. But like UART, it's very easily exploitable because, again, no authentication, no encryption. That's the words of the day. So another one we'll talk about is serial peripheral flash, or SPI for short. Basically, SPI is another serial protocol, but instead of like UART where you have two devices that negotiate with each other, instead we have a master-slave architecture. So you have one master device that then communicates with various subservient devices, but it allows communication between integrated circuits. Anyway, but these are present on many IoT desktop and networking devices, so in a bit I'll probably go look at Dean's board and see if there's one on there. But usually they come in these little 8-legged chips like this. They're very identifiable. Sometimes they're in a different format though. And you'll see a few common manufacturers. So XMC, Winbond, and Micronics. Here's a Winbond chip. If you have a Dell 1 like Therese does, you will have a Winbond chip. If you have a Dell 2 like I do, there's an XMC chip, which actually, I just realized on the next slide I actually have pictures. There's SPI Flash in the Dell 1 and 2s that DSU assigns. But there's, on the left, we've got the Winbond 1 from the Dell 1s and the XMC from the Dell 2. So this one on the right is actually from my own laptop, because I stopped by Andrew Kramer's office earlier today and I was like, we should dump the flash on my laptop. And he's like, sure, let's go for it. But apparently the software we're using, Flash ROM, does not have support for this exact chip, so he challenged me to go open a pull request and actually add support for it in the Flash ROM. So I think that's going to be my spring break project. Anyway, but presumably, in the case of our laptops, this is where the UEFI is stored, the firmware for the device. But you'll see all sorts of, different types of firmware. So Dean, I'm actually out of the yours right now. Curious? Let's see, I wish I had the Krebsbot camera right now. That would be ideal. So let's have a look. One thing to note is that even if you do see a chip like that, it's not necessarily a SPI Flash chip. It could be just something similar. There's a couple of strategies you can use to determine if it actually is or not. Generally, it will be off on its own somewhere. If you see a similar one near like the power delivery system, it's probably not SPI Flash. You'll probably fry your debugger if you try to attach to it. They also aren't always in this same 8-legged format. Sometimes they're a flatter chip, but usually they will still have 8 prongs. They just might be smaller as well. Let's see here. Taking a look.
Hi, mate.
Go ahead.
I kind of don't know the format of how to ask questions, so I'm just trying to find its time in between.
Yeah, again.
So, a lot of motherboards, mobos, aren't they usually labeled on kind of what a lot of, I wouldn't say maybe down to the microchips, but like, aren't they usually labeled to where at least the important parts are? Or, I mean, I've seen one pin labeled before, like this specific pin is made for this. Like I just built my own computer, like I had to plug in individual pins. So I mean, is it possible that a lot of them are kind of labeled like that, or?
Definitely. I mean, usually these type of ones aren't always, like if you look at these pictures, there isn't really any indication, like on the circuit board itself that it's SPI Flash, but yes, occasionally you will see it labeled, especially also like I was talking about UART and JTAG headers, those are often labeled on the board as well. But a few other identifiers is, I gave you the name of some of the brands, and so if you look like on these chips, you can see the word Winbond or the word XMC. Another identifier is this little dot in the bottom left corner that indicates the, I think it's the ground wire. That's also usually a key identifier that it's a SPI Flash chip. But like I said, it really depends. You gotta be careful with it either way. But, so not really, there is a tiny little chip here that might possibly be, but there's nothing that's like obviously SPI Flash on this one. But if you wanna see if you can get it off the back as well, it might also be back. But There is one on like the edge of the bottom on that one, Dean, that looks like one of these, but it's not Spy Flash because it doesn't have the dot, and it's probably related to power delivery. Alright, so next we'll talk about a few tools that you can use for hardware hacking. This is in no way a comprehensive list. There are so many different tools. One of the most basic is a multimeter. If you're trying to determine a pinout, which is basically what pins do what things, essentially, you can use a multimeter. Typically, data and power pins will have like a voltage that you can measure, and ground pins will not, so that can be helpful. But there are also various tools to help you as well. I've got this one here. This is called a Bus Pirate. This is one of the slightly older ones. It's the same as that top right picture up there. But this one belongs to Sean. I'm not actually going to do anything with it. I just thought it'd be cool to have it in my hand. But I'll walk it around if you want to take a closer look. But this allows you to do basically, interface with various kinds of low-level interfaces. Like this can do JTAG and UART and various other things as well. But it allows you to kind of route them through a common USB interface. Just makes it a little easier. So pretty cool stuff. It's just
Out there.
See, if I was cooler, I'd have a real demo, but maybe next week. I don't know. Another one is a logic analyzer, like the ones we've got. These can basically, I think at the base level, they essentially read power changes on a wire, but it then translates that to bits that you can actually read. Logic analyzers are also very useful for determining pinouts, but they can also be used to read data off the wire as well, which is what we'll be doing. That thing on the bottom is called the JTagulator. It's designed with like automation in mind. So the idea is that you can plug it into a device and it will kind of automatically find the pinouts for you and automatically perform it will try to grab a shell from UART or JTAG for you. But those things are pretty cool. They recently started making them again, which I'm very happy about, but they're quite expensive. But they're damn cool, and they're very pink. We also mentioned flipper zeros.
Heat-sink screws.
Say again?
This thing is held down by heat-sink screws.
Oh, yeah. You don't wanna go that far?
No, I got it. But
Okay, hell yes.
Why would you design a board like that?
Well, the idea is not really looking at the bottom, but anyway. Diksha mentioned flipper zeros earlier. They can be used for especially like over-the-air transmission, so RFID, NFC, Wi-Fi even, but they also have GPIO pins and can do hardware interfaces as well. On the software side, flash ROM's a big one that allows you to read and write from these flash chips. So if you take Andrew Kramer's reverse engineering class, in the last 2 weeks, I think he started this year actually, he'll do hardware hacking with you and you get to dump some firmware off of his big old bin of IoT devices. So there's some iconic stuff in there like some cameras, there's a heart monitor. It actually wasn't a heart monitor. It was a device that was like you could bring it with you and it would like automatically call I guess it might have been a heart monitor, but it would automatically call the emergency services for whichever country you set it to. It's kind of interesting. And then iconically, Carice busted open the bottom of an IoT coffee mug to see if she could get some
We dumped a flash. I have the stuff stored somewhere on my computer, actually.
So there you go. Works out. But flash ROM is very nice. It has support for a variety of chips, except for, of course, the one that's in my computer. Whatever, I'll fix that. Binwonk is nice, too. That allows you to basically just walk through a firmware image and extract embedded files from it. And then another one you can use is just literally the strings command. Like if you're just looking for something quick, oftentimes like directory contents or even file contents, error messages, informational messages are just stored on the flash, and so you can use strings to just walk through it. So right before Andrew and I attempted to dump the flash on my computer, he was dumping the flash from a network interface card that Eric had given him, and he was able to walk through the image and just see it like, oh, here's, there's some UUID, probably a file system UUID, There was some like error messages, information messages, like the copyright notice from Intel was in there, and stuff like that. But there's also a lot more software tools as well. Not trying to be comprehensive here, just give you a nice overview.
Another hardware tool that I know about is Proxmark 3. It's essentially for just specifically for RFIDs, so I think it covers most of the RFID protocols, but it clones it, and that's how you use it. Just mentioning it.
Yeah. And a lot of like file forensics tools are also helpful. I mean, Binwalk is kind of that, but a lot of the time these chips will just have like a literal like Linux or BSD file system on them. They'll usually be compressed and very minimal, but it will be the case. But yeah, if you have some spare money lying around, you should go buy some hardware hacking tools and try to dump some flashes and just have some fun. It's a lot of fun. It is expensive though. Like these logic analyzers are like $500 each. But a lot of this other stuff isn't as expensive. But yeah.
I'd kill for one of those Proxmarks, but those things are like $700.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you can get away with a lot with just like a Raspberry Pi and some breadboard pins as well. So don't feel like you have to go and buy one of these specialized devices to get working on this stuff. But I think that's pretty much all we have. Yeah, that's the last slide. A little shorter today just because there's, not really any demos, but the spectacle is next week when you actually get to do hardware hacking yourself. So make sure to come to that. No more theater, good job, Aiden.
Go!
Yes, so make sure to come, tell all your friends to come, because this is like a once-a-year thing, and it's only been this is the second year we're doing hardware hacking ever, so it's really unique, especially since DSU doesn't really do it in their classes. Though the master's level embedded systems class, you get to do a little bit of hardware stuff in that. Anyway, thanks for coming, I appreciate it. Any questions? I don't know, any cool stories? Were you able to get the bottom up to that as well? Let's have a look. I'm very curious, because stuff like this usually does.
I saw there's a couple ones that look similar, but
So
I
like
couldn't tell what
this
they were.
one is probably related to power delivery, I'd assume.
And powder delivers on the back here.
Interesting, maybe not done. Let's see.
They look labeled the same, both the ones on the back.
And then yeah, there's this other little one on the back as well. Let's see, biggest hacker tool, flashlight.
It really is.
See, these ones I'm just mainly concerned because it doesn't have that ground button, but this one up here does. Nuvaton. Let's see. Maybe this could be something. See if I can read that serial number. The second greatest hacking tool after flashlight is a screwdriver. So thank you, Dean, for bringing that. I asked Andrew, you got a screwdriver in here? And he's like, no, I don't. And I'm like, Andrew, what are you doing?
I don't know how he does that.
It's okay, Eric had one.
However, I have a lot of things in my
Yeah, it's okay because Eric had one, because of course Eric does. Okay, let's have a look. If I can, there we go. Nuvaton NCT 7802Y.
I got a large screwdriver holds the kit, but I still need the lock pick set to go with it.
Hell yes, Dean, hell yes.
I have a lot. I have a small one.
Hardware monitoring. One great thing about these chips is that there's almost always a spec sheet somewhere. So if you're trying to figure out some details, you can usually just find a PDF. This chip looks like it's for hardware monitoring. So probably not. So I'm going to say in my unprofessional amateur opinion, there's no spot flash on this board. Unfortunately, that is that one. And I think there's, sorry, I think this might be your header, because I just remember there are
This is the definition of this right? Rather than this. This was
We're trying to pull up pictures from our adventures with a coffee mouse. I couldn't find any pictures.
Bring back next
I
week.
think they're only there. I'm attempting to pull up the code, but I couldn't find the pictures.
I was able to find the spec sheet earlier for the chip that is on my laptop, so I get to read through this PDF and figure out how to code for that, so that's pretty fun, if it'll load. If it'll load. Oh my gosh, why is it so slow? Ridiculous.
The thing that was on the coffee note was peak finals week activities, right?
Yeah. Dipshit.
Yeah, when
Anyways,
you're doing
yeah.
anything and everything other than finals.
I mean, I had already finished my trainer finals.
It's so real.
Alright. I guess we'll go ahead with the Hive CTF meeting.
Show that the ball is going.
Go ahead and hop in the
Show that one ball.
Hive CTF VC.
Alright, time for
Homophobic. You. Yeah, you. Yeah, you.
Cool shit. Alright, so yeah, obviously, biggest news is we're published. But I do need to, yeah.
Do we have a Discord / are we setting up a separate Discord for, okay.
I'm working on it. It's not much here right now, but I'm working on it. But yeah, I'll probably try to do that as soon as I can. Monday maybe. Set that up, and then we can fix the branding on here because we can't use the DSU logo. And then set up a CTF time entry so that people can see that it's happening. And
I was like, and then I'll send it out to a couple different people. Send it out to our Penn State friends.
hell yes. Let's see here. I forget.
Whenever things are ready, just let me know.
Yeah. I'll probably, I have a couple assignments for tomorrow. One thing that's nice is we got an extension on our Conti assignment, so.
Wow, can't they give them an extension?
Yeah, it's because Miriam is doing research week, and so she was preparing for that this week, I guess, and so she was like, I'm gonna ask for an extension, so she gave us till Monday. So, probably work on that tomorrow.
Is that website ready for people to sign up yet? Or?
Not quite. We need to fix the, because DSU has marketing rules, and so well, I'm not sure why it's not taking me back.
So we need to change the logo.
Yeah, but I'd say we need to change the logo and then get rid of the word DSU in the title, because they won't like that. But I did get the email here, so I'll probably I think, as far as the logo, I think this one is very, very nice. It's your sister's girlfriend?
Yeah, her name's Adrian. I asked her, or I told her that's the one y'all decided to go with. Asked her if she could send over one with a transparent background as well.
Yeah, that'd be good. But I like this one a lot. Jacob said he liked this one. How do you feel, Carice?
I think it's, I agree with the colors. The color options are, I also agree with this one.
Because I don't really like this color, and
I think
the yellow.
Should we pass it through marketing?
What? Well, we're not gonna.
We just aren't officially.
This isn't
everything.
This isn't an official DSU event.
Oh, okay.
This is not sponsored. So that's what I'm saying.
That's why we can't have DSU and stuff.
Yeah. So it won't be DSU Hive CTF. It'll just be Hive CTF. It'd be great. But the thing is, if we went through marketing, they'd be like, okay, change it to be DSU CTF or Trojan CTF or blah 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 blah, and whatever. I just don't want to deal with that. Maybe next year, but for now, I think we'll just go with that. It'll also be easier to be like, we have.
If you want her to try some different color options, I can ask.
I mean, I think
this
is solid.
Yeah. Also, let me
honestly,
just.
the one thing that, and I think this is, I'm saying this out loud here and not in the Discord, because I can at least try to explain. My brain with reading it, Hive feels a little, I know it's not, I think it's the same thickness as CTF, but like, how are y'all's brains interpreting it? Do you think it would benefit from maybe making Hive each letter slightly skinnier, or do you think it's good? That's my one thing. Everything else I think looks great and I love it, and that looks good. Just at first, my brain was like, huh?
I mean, where else are you gonna allocate the space?
Well, she probably means like if you make the space
the letter skinnier,
like
not super skinny, like
they would still take up the same space, but you'd maybe like carve out a little more from the center here and like same here.
I was like, I don't know if y'all's, the more I look at it, the better it's looking. Just when I first looked, my brain went shapes.
I'm not gonna make like big decisions because that's as far away from my realm of expertise.
Yeah,
as
no, that's
possible.
fair.
Jacob, the graphic artist.
I also would not.
My only concern about taking the letter away from it, if it would like leave too much white space.
Ooh, okay, that's fair. I still think that one personally. What do y'all think?
This is the backup
I think
logo.
that should be our design. Yeah.
I think Aiden likes it.
My mouth isn't
But no,
doing something
the more
else.
I look at it, the more I think
Yeah,
that
this is another one we considered,
so that was another one that.
but I think this is nice just because like this could be the Discord logo and it could be like the logo at the top. Like I'm gonna have to go into incognito so that it would work well here and it still has the name of the event and
I did mention when I sent it over that we might use it as a Discord logo, so that's
Yeah.
why she wants that form back.
No, I think that's a really good design because it works for both.
it looks good. It looks good. It's good shit.
CTF. So we got our logo.
Tippy. Look at these lamoids. I just put a 2 after theirs. Hey look, they changed it to be 8 a.m. to midnight instead of 8 a.m. to 12. Because I guess
So it definitely was supposed to be 12
Yeah.
p.m.
And they just-
it was supposed to be 12 a.m. so midnight, and then they said 12 p.m. and they thought midnight, and 12 p.m. is noon. Okay.
So that makes me feel a little bit better about making ours so long. So,
For anyone who cares, this is our Penn State buddies.
yes,
To do
this is
with
their
CTF.
CTF.
2 weeks before? When's ours? Yeah.
2 weeks before. April 4th, 2 Saturdays before. Anyway, off
I
track.
don't have an excuse not to do it.
Well, if you don't want to, I feel like that's a good enough excuse.
But like,
No, I
if we
don't play.
form a
Count me
team,
in.
we have there's a chance to win a prize.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I mean,
I think
Nice,
it's
Jacob.
team. I don't think it's solo.
I believe it's team. Let me look.
And I think it's unlimited team size.
I don't remember. I'm in their Discord. Let me just
I'm
go look in
also
this
in their Discord.
Discord. See, I was there first. I was like the.
Even though the irony is I was the one sent the link and you were there first. I sent you the link.
Where? I don't remember. I have too many fucking. Where did I put this? I have too many, like, I say I have too many servers, but then I see how many Malakai's in.
maxed it out.
What's your major?
Computer science.
I didn't even know there was a max servers until you told me.
There's some CTFs have a good amount of math.
Crypto. Anyway, let's see here. PSU bracket is limited to 4 per team, but otherwise there's no size limit on the academic
And then there may
bracket.
be prizes.
Yeah, so top PSU and top academic teams will be eligible for prize. Anyway, that's an aside.
That's an aside. Back on topic.
Anyway, let's have a look here. Okay, nothing new really. Kaylin might make us some challenges.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, me and Jacob were kind of cajoling him into doing something, and he was like, "Oh, I might try to make some software exploitation or like PCAP
Okay.
shit."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So, you have any ideas, Riley, for a challenge? For any challenges?
Any kind of challenges to create. for
CTF
the
challenge
CTF
ideas. Ideally not OSINT. Ideally difficult.
Oh, I was gonna do like I think I messaged you about it before. Like I was gonna like have like a little web API hacking thing.
Okay, sounds good. Throw it in the channel. How about you, Abe?
I'm not creative. I would do something with cryptography, but I don't
Well, a good place to start.
Ideas. DM me and we can work together on creative.
Karius is our crypto man,
Because
so
I have minimal ideas, but I can bullshit.
crypto is hard beyond just let's make our own encryption protocol and they have to reverse engineer it. Like, anyway,
I'm gonna create.
here's a good one.
I'm gonna create an eagle.
Caesar cipher.
Okay, but consider the alphabet of ciphers.
Let's
So
see.
just go affine, and then let's go with bacon, and then Caesar, and then I don't know.
Starts with D. Diffie-Hellman.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Diffie-Hellman. E.
R is RSA naturally. Anyway,
But yeah, I'm gonna create some equals.
side. That's an aside. That's an aside.
That will figure
Um,
out how to create equals.
elliptic curve cryptography.
Ooh, for E, that's. See, but then we've got to think of how we're gonna make it so it's actually doable. But
Yeah.
I do think that would be a hilarious.
Crack a
concept.
17-bit RSA key.
Maybe. Ooh, okay. I just thought of something. But
What about cracking a 67-bit RSA?
Is RSA 67 been solved? RSA numbers. Let's look.
that's just the easy one. They have nothing to look.
We've got 100, so I don't know.
Are they gonna?
Is this actually the list of solves? Here we go. RSA 100. Hell yes. 330 bits. That's a little out of our league, but there's those numbers. There you go.
Yes, a brute forcing challenge. Everyone's favorite.
Everyone's favorite
Especially
is
with short-term challenges, especially with one-day challenges. Let's give
Yeah.
us something. Let's do a password hacking that minimum is a 3-day thing.
let's make a challenge where it's just a script that gives you the flag, but it won't run unless you're on an NVIDIA GPU. I think that's a good idea. Anyway,
Can we tell these are all things we've had?
I'm gonna start with an easy challenge. Right now, it's wait.
start with the hard ones, because we can do the easy ones
Figure
later.
out some easy ones night of. But no, what were you saying?
Yeah.
I would say if you do easy challenges, make multiple of them. But
No, I was saying essentially because right now I'm still brainstorming. So one of my brainstorm ideas was an easy challenge, but I'll also come up with harder ones.
let's see here. Well, what was the idea? I'm curious.
Just magic bites.
Magic Bytes, yeah.
Yeah.
You can make it for an obscure file format, and then they have to figure that
Yeah,
out.
and then for a harder one, I was thinking of web exploitation challenge, but I still haven't figured what I want to do. Is it going to be cross-site
Do some WebSocket
or
exploitation.
SSTI? I still have to hash that out.
Okay.
How about cross-site scripting? Like an admin bot that doesn't have internet access. So you have to exfiltrate back into the page.
Wait, and how about
I think
if
that's
you...
a genius idea.
like if you-
I've never heard anything better than this. We'll make everyone quit on CTF in the middle. Then I don't have to do support.
That would be awesome.
I've got a great title for my alphabet one. Learning my ABCs.
I was thinking of making a crypto one with signature verification, but it's going to be. Well, I give them 100 files and they gotta figure out which one is real.
Yeah.
But I still need to. That would be pretty easy to be honest. I still need to flesh it out a little, but.
For the arts.
Yeah, I'd say just again, if you have any ideas, even if you don't want to do them yourself, just throw them in the forum in a post and we'll look into it. But definitely try to do it yourself, but I understand if it's this is above my skill level, but I think it would be cool. We can pick it up.
I'll make a memory dome challenge too.
Your specialty, Jacob.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm going to do this alphabet one. I'm gonna.
What would this even be? Forensics?
How did you see that?